Between the two biggest cities in the United States, Los Angeles and New York City, which one is truly the most expensive one to live in? And by that I mean after taxes are taken out, after you pay your rent, your food, your transportation, and all the everyday expenses that quietly add up, which city actually leaves you with more money sitting in your bank account? That's what you're going to know by the end of this video. We are going to go step by step, looking at income, taxes, rent, transportation, food, and healthcare. And by the end, you will clearly see which city has the highest cost of living. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with income because everything begins with how much money is coming in. On average, people living in Los Angeles make about $5,400 per month before taxes. In New York City, that number is a bit higher, around $5,800 per month. So right away, New Yorkers are earning about $400 more every month before taxes. But what really matters is what you actually take home. After taxes, the average person in Los Angeles keeps about $4,300 per month, while in New York City, that number is around $4,400. So once everything is deducted, New Yorkers are still ahead, but now it is only by about $100 per month. There is a reason for that difference. New York has a very high concentration of high-paying industries like finance, tech, media, and large corporate headquarters. You have major companies competing for talent, which pushes salaries higher overall. Los Angeles also has strong industries like entertainment and tech, but the salary range is more spread out and not as concentrated at the top. However, New Yorkers for that amount of money per month pay higher taxes than Angelenos. One of the big reasons is that New York City also has a city tax on income, which at the time of this video is in the 3%, depending on your income. So yes, New Yorkers earn slightly more money on average. But the real question is, does that extra $100 actually make a difference once you start paying for everything else? That's what we'll figure out looking at the different expenses. So now we get to the biggest expense of all, the rent. This is where things start to change very quickly. On average, a two-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles costs about $3,100 per month. In New York City, that same type of apartment costs around $3,800 per month. That is a $700 difference every single month, which is huge. For this example, we are assuming one person living alone and paying the full amount. So in Los Angeles, you start with $4,300 after taxes, you subtract $3,100 for rent, and you are left with about $1,200. That is what you have left for everything else in your life. In New York City, however, you start with $4,400. You subtract $3,800 for rent, and now you are left with just $600. That is half as much as someone in Los Angeles. And this is exactly why so many people do not live alone in these cities, especially in New York. A large percentage of people have roommates, share apartments, or live with partners to split the cost. Others take on second jobs, such as freelance work or side hustles just to keep up. Some people even work in New York City but live outside the city in cheaper areas and commute in every day. But for this comparison, we are keeping it simple. One person, one income. And already Los Angeles is clearly ahead when it comes to how much money you have left after rent. But let's see if it remains cheaper once we look at the other expenses. So next, let's talk about transportation because this is where the lifestyle differences between these two cities really show. In Los Angeles, having a car is almost necessary for most people. The city is very spread out and public transportation is not as widely used or as convenient for daily life. In New York City, it is the total opposite. Many people rely on subways, buses, and trains, and a lot of residents do not even own a car at all. To give you a better idea, 9 out of 10 working adults in Los Angeles have a car, while only 5 out of 10 in New York City. That is a massive saving on car-related payments for New Yorkers, but let's look at the numbers if you own a car in both cities. Gas in Los Angeles is often about $1.50 more expensive per gallon than in New York. If we assume a 15-gallon tank and about 30 fill-ups per year, the average person in Los Angeles spends around $170 per month on gas. In New York, for the same car lifestyle, it costs on average $115 per month on gas. So, after transportation, the person in Los Angeles goes from $1,200 down to about $1,030. In New York, the person goes from $600 down to about $485 left. So, even though New Yorkers spend less on gas, it is not enough to make up for how much they lose on rent. But keep in mind, this is assuming 2 people doing 30 fill-ups per year, In reality, most Angelenos spend $1,000 a month on their car, while half New Yorkers spend about $150 on public transportation. And so, depending on the job you have, if you need a car in LA but not in New York, you may be saving around $800 on transportation in New York City, which can make up for the higher rent. But in any case, moving around in Los Angeles is simply more expensive. Now let's move on to food, which is something everyone has to deal with every single day. On average, food in New York City is about 4% more expensive than in Los Angeles for similar items. It might not sound like much, but it does add up over time. If we assume a monthly grocery budget of $400 in Los Angeles, that same lifestyle would cost about $415 in New York City. So it is only a $15 difference, but at this point in the budget, every dollar matters. After subtracting food costs, the person in Los Angeles goes from $1,030 down to about $630. In New York, the person goes from $485 all the way down to just $70 left. And now things start to feel very tight, because this does not even include eating out, ordering delivery, or grabbing coffee regularly, which a lot of people do without thinking about it. New York has an incredible food scene, but that convenience can lead to more spending. Los Angeles also has great food options, but groceries tend to be slightly more affordable overall. Now you may have a better idea of why only 3 out of 10 people in LA and New York are actually living alone. This is very low compared to more affordable cities like Washington, D.C., where 5 out of 10 people can afford to live by themselves. In New York and LA, realistically, you probably don't want to pay everything alone unless you make at least 6 figures per year or find an excellent deal on rent. Finally, let's talk about healthcare costs, which are often overlooked but still part of everyday life. If we assume about 4 medical visits per year, including things like doctor visits, dentist appointments, or eye exams, the average monthly cost comes out to around $50 in Los Angeles and about $55 in New York City just for medical visits. So after healthcare, the person in Los Angeles goes from $630 down to about $580 left at the end of the month. The person in New York goes from $70 down to just $15 remaining. It leaves almost no room for unexpected expenses, savings, or anything extra. It shows how tight things can get when your biggest expense, rent, takes up such a large portion of your income. So when you put everything together, the result is very clear. Los Angeles comes out ahead in this comparison. Even though New Yorkers earn slightly more money on average, that extra income is quickly absorbed by higher rent costs. And once you factor in transportation, food, and healthcare, the difference becomes very large. But like mentioned earlier, a lot of New Yorkers can argue that you don't need a car in New York for most jobs. And if it is the case for you, New York City might have a cheaper cost of living for you. But it is important to remember that this is a simplified example. In real life, most people do not live alone without making adjustments. They share apartments, split expenses, take on extra work, or move to more affordable areas. Both cities offer unique advantages, from career opportunities to lifestyle and culture, and those things matter just as much as money for many people. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think Los Angeles is the better place to live because you keep more of your money? Or do you think New York City is still worth it for everything it offers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. In the meantime, watch one of the videos showing at your screen right now. I'll see you on the next one.